our plan today is to talk a little bit about planning with a dementia diagnosis. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Eileen Doherty, and I am the director of the Colorado Gerontological Society. The first thing I guess that I would like to say is that there's probably not a lot of necessarily new information that we haven't provided previously in some of our presentations and work, but hopefully this will put it together in a little different framework or paradigm for people. So the areas that we're going to look at a little bit are legal and financial planning, medical and care planning, home safety and daily living, and then a little bit about resources and support that agencies such as the Gerontological Society and other organizations can provide. So we're going to start out with probably the most important thing if you get an early diagnosis, or even if it's not an early diagnosis, one in which you are still able to make some level of decisions and be competent, is to get your powers of attorney in order. In order to make a power of attorney, you must be competent. This means that a judge, an attorney, someone in your world who is maybe a significant other would have to be able to say, yes, this individual knows what decision they're making, and they have at some level the ability or the capacity to remember that they made that decision. So my test is always kind of, if I ask the person today, or if I ask them a week from now, who writes your checks? And they have appointed you to be their trusted agent or their financial power of attorney, and they would answer me the same as whoever the person is who is writing that power of attorney today, then I would say that that person was probably legally competent to make that decision. Recently, I have been told that there have been several instances in which people have attempted, if you will, to have somebody sign a power of attorney. And then a week or two later, the institution where they presented the power of attorney has basically questioned whether or not the individual was competent to make that decision. So there's probably a little bit more oversight on that at this point in time, and making sure that people do, in fact, know who their trusted agent is or their power of attorney. The power of attorney is a legal document. What that means is that it can be presented to a court of law, and the judge would say, yes, this is valid. Yes, this person knew what they were doing when they signed this paper, and they were able to enter into a legal arrangement which binds them and or other people. A person who is your financial power of attorney has to act as your fiduciary. That means that they are required within the rules of fiduciary responsibilities to manage your financial portfolio in your best interest and to maximize your financial position. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that as a fiduciary, if you have, say, your money in a very conservative money market or some other instrument, that they have the right to go out and put it into very risky stocks and bonds. At this point, that would not be a wise thing for them to do. And my suggestion would be that they leave the instruments, whatever the investments are, in what you have, unless it's so low performing that any reasonable person might say, well, why don't we move it into a little bit more stable position or instrument that earns, say, a little bit more money. There are two types of powers of attorney. There's a limited or a full. A limited power of attorney means that the individual can only act on your behalf on the financial transactions that you designate. So this could be that they can only write checks on a specific checking account. For our purposes here, as someone who has been diagnosed with early stage dementia, this is not a good option. It might be a good option for other situations, but not when you have an early diagnosis of dementia. At this point, you must give a full power of attorney, regardless of how reluctant you are, because this trusted agent, this power of attorney, must be able to act on your behalf, and they must be able to handle all of your checking, savings accounts, stocks, bonds, file your taxes. They may need to sell property, they may need to buy different property. They need to be able to act on your behalf with 100%. Now, again, the reason that we have to be so cautious is who this agent is. And our office right now is dealing with a financial power of attorney situation in which somebody who was quite vulnerable had somebody move into his house. The person suggested that he be his power of attorney. And right now, that is being investigated because the gentleman has been put into an assisted living as the result of a fall in his backyard and with limited interaction at the moment. But the telephone buddy from our office has been talking to this man for 3 years, and she is quite concerned. So there is a whole entire investigation going on at this point in time that we have called in both the police as well as the ombudsman to try to sort out that. The next thing that you want to check on is your will. If you have a will, make sure you read through it, and this is the time where you can make changes. It is very possible that in 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now, after you have this early stage diagnosis of dementia, you will no longer be able to make changes. And part of the reason for that is that you may, in good conscience, have done certain things or gifted certain things to certain people while you are competent to do so. But now you may be angry at those people for various reasons, and you would like to change those beneficiaries. You can only do that with a very early stage of dementia. If you want to make those changes, do it right away when you get that diagnosis, or a better practice for your will is actually to try to review it every year and make sure that that's exactly what you want to do. It's important to know that on your will, whoever is your personal representative or your executor has no authority to act or make any changes on your will or to do anything until after you have passed away. So, again, getting your will right, making it do what you want it to do, is the most important thing. You also, at this point in time, in my opinion, need to kind of take stock of your investment portfolio and or your estate. And with an early stage dementia diagnosis, it is very possible that you may have to provide for care for yourself for a prolonged or very extended period of time. And especially if you want this care to be in your home. Home care, while oftentimes if loved ones or family members can take care of you, supported by paid caregivers, can be a cheaper alternative if you have to pay for more extensive home care, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, or even 24-hour a day care. you may find that that is extremely expensive. And that is one of the reasons sometimes why people end up having to go to an assisted living or to a nursing home, is because they have a limited estate, limited amount of money that they can put into extensive or significant amount of home care, and then they have to rely on Medicaid to pay for their care because Medicaid will not pay for long-term care on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week. They might pay for a visit 6, 8, 10, 20 hours a week, but they're not going to pay for usually something more extensive. Another thing to look at this point in time is if you have any kind of a trust, whether it's a revocable trust, an irrevocable trust, a living trust, a disability trust, an able trust, any of those trusts that you might have, you need to review them and make whatever changes you think are necessary, again, while you are competent and have the ability to make those decisions. You should also talk to your successor trustee if you have a trust, so that they know that they probably will have to act on your behalf sooner than you may have originally planned. Now, obviously, if your successor trustee is a family member, they're probably going to be involved maybe as your medical or your financial power of attorney, and they're going to be aware of that. But again, reviewing what you have in your trust with that successor trustee while you have the ability to still share a lot of your thoughts and ideas is a very good idea. Another thing that I like to suggest that people consider or work with at this point in time is funeral arrangements. And again, not because your family and your loved ones can't do that. It's another one of those stressful situations that if it can be pre-planned and done at the time of the diagnoses, of an early diagnosis, you are much more likely to, again, have that piece of your life sort of in order and taken care of. You do need to consider what kind of a pre-purchase arrangement you want to make. Do you want a traditional funeral? Do you want a cremation? Do you want a natural funeral? Again, we have done presentations on pre-need funerals, and they are posted on our YouTube channel. So if you would like to review those, please feel free to do that. As part of your funeral planning, you also need to determine how and where you want your remains to be buried. Do you want them, if you're doing a traditional burial, obviously you will need a cemetery for them to be buried in. If you're doing a cremation, those may go in a cemetery or they may go to be scattered somewhere. If you're doing a natural funeral, your remains are handled very differently, and they're usually returned to the earth after your body has decompensated or decomposed. If you want any religious services, again, planning those with your loved ones and talking openly and frankly about what you do and don't want is very, very helpful. And I have been in these situations many, many times, both with family, my own mother and dad, brother-in-laws, aunts and uncles. I've also been involved many times with clients of mine. And the more we have done, the day that I have to call the mortuary, the easier it is to do. And again, I don't have to make decisions on the fly about maybe what you do or don't want. So let's talk for a moment about a medical power of attorney. This requires you, again, the individual, to be competent to enter into a legal contract. The same as a financial power of attorney, it is legally binding. And if a judge looked at it, they need to say, yes, this is a valid legal document. and whoever the agent is or the power of attorney is required to follow your wishes regardless of their own biases or desires. As with the financial power of attorney, the agent has to act in your best interest. That means that they have to make decisions in accordance with your wishes and what you have put in your medical power of attorney for things like surgery, new medications, ongoing treatments. They also, as part of your medical power of attorney, are required to figure out where you're going to live, whether it's going to be in your own home, whether it's going to be in your nursing home, at what point in time they are going to change those arrangements. They have to make care decisions. They have to hire these people, like if they hire home care, who is going to provide that care. And then they have to consult with um, the financial power of attorney for payment. They're also required to make personal decisions for your care, like clothing, assessments and care plans, arrange for transportation. All of those kinds of things are responsibilities. Um, so, again, another thing that you should think about is what kind of care do you want when someone needs to act? Now, this section is mostly questions, and it's questions that you need to ponder yourself, and then you need to ponder those once you have come up with some answers or some preferences, that you share those with your medical and your financial power of attorney. Now, sometimes your medical and financial power of attorney will be the same person, but depending on the size of your estate, it may be two different people. So, is your first priority to have care in your home? Almost everyone I know of is always going to say yes. But when you say yes, begin to think of what is the burden that you are willing to ask your family to make to keep you at home. As your condition changes, as it worsens, if you are one of those unfortunate people who suffers from wandering behavior, from paranoia, from very, very angry behavior, people in your home or your loved ones or your family may not be able to keep you at home. If you don't have a family member, say you're widowed or you never married, how would you approach getting care at that point in time? What kind of a burden would you put on your family? And while you think that they would be willing to do it, let me tell you, doing it 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days with no break is very, very burdensome on family members. So, again, if there's more than one family member and those responsibilities can be shared, that helps, but it still can be very difficult and very burdensome. As you're going through this journey and as you're in the early stages of dementia, you should also think of end of life care. I have one client right now who has indicated she does not want to leave her little apartment, which is probably not more than 350 square feet. While that is an okay decision at the moment, she also constantly is complaining about her medical problems. She probably is close to appropriate for hospice care. She's been on palliative care, which is where we continue to just maintain her current status quo for more than a year. But she is adamant that she does not want hospice care. Now, I'm okay with that at the moment, and probably will continue to be okay about that, especially because at this point in time, she has the ability mentally to share with me and cognitively what she wants. Now, sometimes I have to bring her to reality and say, we can't do that. So, what is the workaround? She's usually very open to that. And so that tends to be where and how we are managing her care at the moment. It's not always what she wants, but it's what is the workaround. Other things that, as you think about your disease process moving forward, what makes you comfortable? Is it a cup of warm tea? Is it a warm blanket? Is it a warm bedroom? Is it being able to sit close to somebody? Is it being able to go for a ride in the car? Is it to be able to sit on the swing on the front yard? Knowing what those preferences are, knowing how I can meet those needs helps me as your power of attorney, your trusted caretaker, to share with the people that I surround you with and helps them to make sure that you are more comfortable. Some people do not want people around them. Other people are very hungry and do not want to be left alone. They're very afraid. They're very fearful. Another thing that's important is who do you not want to visit? And I bring this up again after many years of experience where I know that there are such fractured, especially in very, very dysfunctional families, there are such fractured relationships that the person has asked me, do not tell, do not talk, do not invite to my funeral this brother or sister. It's a very difficult thing to do. But again, if you have those feelings, you need to express them so that your loved ones can, in fact, carry through. This talks a little bit more about what type of care do you want. We talked about palliative care. Sometimes people at end of life are willing to be involved in any kind of experimental studies. And the reason for that being because they want or feel that they can do certain kinds of things to help with studies of new medications, of new treatment protocols. And so they want to be able to do their part. Again, while you're competent to make those decisions, let whoever it is that is your significant other or your trusted agent know those. Do you want to stay on new or on your current medications if those aren't working? Do you want to just discontinue those meds or do you want to take new medications? Who, and I talked a little bit about this already, who do you want to provide services? Are you okay with outside agencies helping, assuming you can afford them? Do you have a plan? Have you given thought to who can do shopping, who can schedule your appointments, who can clean for you, who can do your laundry? All of those kinds of things. Many of us have done that all our lives for ourselves. In early stage dementia, we can probably still do some of those things for ourselves. Maybe we need some level of support, but many of them we can still do. But as our disease progresses, we are going to need help and we are going to need a lot of help. And we need to be very open and understanding about that. We need to also have designated individuals, if they're people other than your power of attorney, who can work with your physician and other paid and informal caregivers. Again, my power of attorney may not live in town, but the daughter or son who is most frequently coming to help me is my daughter who lives across the street. She needs to have access and power to manage those decisions and talk to people. And what role do you want your family to play? They may not be able to meet your request, but if you let them know, most family members will do their best. It's important also to schedule a dementia care planning visit with your primary care provider. This allows you to sort of map out your care. It allows your primary care physician to have some direction about, again, what do you want? It allows your PCP to ask questions or for you to share your preferences for what kind of home care you want, your institutional care, any type of hospice or palliative care. At this visit, you should also do a medication review. And in order for the doctor to get paid for it, if this is part of your annual wellness check, then Medicare would pay for it. Another thing that you might want to do as part of this is to ready your house and your home. And there's a lot of things that you can do over the next couple of slides here as we talk about how to ready your home. Probably the biggest thing is to look at fall prevention. As your dementia progresses, your balance oftentimes is also in play, and you may fall much more easily. Also, the other thing is if you sort of ready your house while you're in early stage dementia, those patterns and routines can be better established, and then you'll know where things are, and your more long term memory can be useful in helping you to manage. So, look at how the furniture is placed. Is it an obstacle course? Do you easily trip over it? Where are the electrical outlets? Sometimes I have actually advised people to, it's not very pretty, but take your outlet that's down ankle height and move it up waist height with some various kinds of cabling. Again, this allows you to not have to bend and for you to be able to have these things in eyesight so that they're more easily found and you don't get as frustrated. One of the things I have found that's really important in dementia and fall prevention is ventilation, heating and cooling. Is your furnace working? Is your air conditioner working? Can you open your windows if you like fresh air? Can you move air in your house or your apartment? One of the things I don't think I talked about here, but in these slides this morning yet is your space too large? So that's another thing to think about. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. Location of your carpets. Put all your essential items on the main floor, put them waist high, put your flour and sugar and cooking utensils on your countertops. So again, you not only prevent falls, but you can see this stuff. And seeing it will decrease your frustration because when you are unable to spot something, you go to look for it, your thought processes get disrupted as you are trying to navigate other things, then that's when you forget what you're trying to do. And then you either fall or you lose your concentration. And then that's when you have difficulty. Make sure your stairs are safe, both to the basement and the second floor. Also, a lot of times we think of stairs only inside the house, but there are stairs and ramps often into our front and back porches, out onto the lawn. You might have stairs onto your garage. So, again, installing rails and ramps can be really important. Home safety, again, these things need to be on a scheduled review for many things. And the reason being because you may or may not have, again, the cognitive ability to make sure if there is a problem that you know how to manage it, or to call for help and support. So, not only check your fire alarms and your carbon monoxide detectors now, but again, put that on the list of your medical or your financial power of attorney that they check those every 6 months. Have your fire extinguisher checked on whatever the scheduled maintenance it is. Again, you may not know how to work that fire extinguisher should a fire start, but if someone comes in your home and sees it, or you call your neighbor, or you call a family member who's on another floor, it works and they can extinguish the fire. Check the safety of getting in and out of your shower and your tub. Again, these kinds of things, if you get confused, if you fall, if you lose your balance, then again, that is what not only causes you to be unsafe, but then when people say, I want you to be safe, these are the kinds of things that they are concerned about. Check the width of your doors in your bathroom, if they are wheelchair or walker uh, width, and whether they can easily be accommodated. Another thing that I recommend is increase the lighting, especially night lights. And I suggest that you consider sensor lights because, again, they're not expensive. You can buy that adapter very easily, put it on your ceiling lights, in some of your lamps, in some of your night lights, so that when someone comes into the room, namely you, it helps to keep you oriented, especially if you are having moments of disorientation. I'm also a big believer in smart homes. So install cameras throughout your home and your property and give family and other trusted individuals access to these cameras so they can monitor any unusual activity. I live in Denver. I have access to cameras in Oregon to my brother in law to be able to see what's going on. I have access to his smartwatch so that I can see if he falls. The night he decided to walk away from the assisted living, they called and said he's walked away, and I could track him while we called the police and said he is on this street walking this direction. And they were able to safely find him, again, because he was wearing his watch. Carry a smart cell phone that can also help with your wandering behavior. If your smart cell phone and your smart watch talk to each other, the chances that you have one of them on you are greater when you experience any kind of wandering, changes in your health condition, such as your blood pressure drops. Set up those monitoring devices within your cell phone or your smartwatch. This helps other people make sure that you are safe. Install smart door locks with keypads. Again, you will tell me I can't remember the code. Remember a code or put in a code that you know you'll know. Give the trusted individuals the codes so that those people can access your house. The other thing is that if I have the code, somebody rings the bell or rings the code, we don't want them in, I can talk to them through these various devices. The Ring doorbell will allow me to talk to the person, and I can say, yes, you can go in, or no, you can't. Window coverings, they're making smart window coverings. Again, these might be important to maintain privacy as well as to keep your home cool in the summer and warmer in the winter. Again, those can be hooked to your cell phone or to your smartwatch, and anybody who's helping to track can make them go up and down as they need to. So it's not necessarily something you need to manage, but it's something that can be managed from afar. Now, we all know with dementia, driving is a problem. With early stage dementia, do your family a favor. Give up or quit driving. Do it yourself and practice alternative ways to get around. If you're in a bigger community, that will be easier because you'll have access to certain things like maybe public transportation or taxis or Uber or Lyft, or look for a neighbor or look for a family member. Be open and pay. Pay for transportation. Do not expect people to do this for free. One time, my 99-year-old friend told me she'd never had an accident in her life, and she decided she was going to quit driving. And she figured out how much money she was spending on insurance, car maintenance, and gasoline. And in a year, she spent 50% less money by paying a driver than she did trying to maintain her own car. So while we feel in the moment like it's expensive, I just got my car insurance the other day. I have an old car. It's a 2019 Chevrolet Impala, $918. That's a lot of Uber rides. Okay. Another thing is you don't want to risk an accident. You don't want to get lost. You don't want to make somebody have to come and find you. If you have an accident and you hurt someone or you kill someone and they find you guilty of manslaughter because you killed somebody or you were negligent because you harmed them, they could take your entire estate. You could end up in jail. You could end up in the state mental hospital. You don't want any of that. And all for the sake of I'm too proud to give up driving. I want to be independent. That's not a good choice. So think about it and make a deliberate decision to stop driving. The other thing is, you can't tell me that you don't have a certain amount of anxiety if you have an early stage dementia diagnosis and just getting under the wheel and the fear of making a mistake. I know that anxiety has to exist. That then causes mistakes. It causes accidents. It causes you to get disoriented. So if you are one of those people, or you see someone, or you know someone who has early stage dementia, please, while they are still able to have some ability to reason, have them make the decision themselves. Don't make your family or a loved one turn you into motor vehicle. Have you try to retake the tests and fail them? Have you basically continue to hope that you're going to get your license back? This is stressful for your family. It's stressful for the people at motor vehicle. It's especially stressful for you. And it's not stress that you need as you are working to cope and manage your dementia. Another thing to do is to establish routines. Always put your keys and other valuables in the same place. Don't just drop them. So if you're one of those people who watches your news on your computer every day, or you have a tablet, or you put your groceries away, whatever it is you do, put things in the same place. And the sooner you have those routines, the more likely as your dementia progresses, your long-term memory will help you remember where those things are. Our goal is to basically get what we have in our current ongoing memory that we forget stored in our long-term memory, because our long-term memory stays with us longer and we're able to do things for ourselves longer. Establish a calendar, put appointments on it, activities, do it consistently. And again, don't rely on your memory, because most likely you will forget it. So we all need these kinds of cues to help us to make sure that we know what we're doing. And the more active you are or have been, the more things you have to do, then the more you rely on a written document, whether it's in your phone, whether it's a calendar on the wall, calendar on your kitchen table, doesn't really matter. Add things to it. Other routines always go to the grocery store at the same time. Keeping schedules basically helps to reduce your frustration, and it also helps you to have better coping skills because you won't be frustrated. You'll know where things are. The moving things from your short term memory to your long term memory helps with your coping. Many people do make notes that serve as cues to help, and they'll put up signs like turn off the lights. And again, you can do that, but as much of that as you can um, make as a mechanized thing or an automatic thing as a smart home, those things just, again, reduce the amount of things that you have to remember because they happen automatically. It's automated, and that reduces your requirement to remember. It reduces your frustration. It reduces your concerns. Another thing, and we're going to switch gears here, is taking care of you as part of this early stage dementia. So, the first thing is to complete your bucket list. Most of us have things we want to do, and we just never get around to it. Now's the time to review that bucket list and start doing those things. And a lot of times when people say bucket list, we immediately go to or think, well, that means travel, but not necessarily. It could be reading certain books or certain literature. It might be seeing certain movies. It might be visiting with family and friends. It might be going on a retreat with your church. It might be organizing your photos, your memories. It might be writing letters to your children, your grandchildren, and your great grandchildren. It might be writing your memoirs. Visit your childhood home. The list goes on what's on our bucket list. The thing is that you have to start now if you have this early diagnosis, because we don't know how quickly the dementia will progress. And the thing is, the more we do, that will bring us comfort as our dementia journey goes on, because we'll have those memories. We will have shared them with someone, and we can be reminded of those memories. Take lots of pictures as you're doing these. Pictures are easy these days on a cell phone. If you don't know how to take a picture on your cell phone, have the person you're going with do it. Get yourself those automatic picture rotating things, have them install those on those picture rotating picture frames. Again, that provides you with the memories, helps you feel close, helps you feel loved, helps you remember good and pleasant times. And yes, some of these things may cost money, but again, remember that memories and doing things are probably more important than not spending the money, and it probably isn't as expensive as you might think it would be. Coping strategies. Embrace your diagnoses and your situation rather than living in denial. Ask a family member or a loved one for help and understanding. Again, if people know what you're dealing with, they are more likely to, as my family would say, cut you some slack. They're more willing to be tolerant of your strange behaviors, of your forgetfulness, of your quirkiness, whatever it is, if they know what is going on. Work out ways to communicate when you can't remember. It's okay to ask your loved ones to fill in the blank when you forget something, and don't apologize. Don't be embarrassed. Just keep on the conversation. Keep going. Because if you stop and dwell on it, you're going to get angry. and you're going to get upset. If someone just fills in the blank and you just keep on talking, you're going to feel better and more fulfilled and satisfied. Give yourself lots of I messages that you are okay. I am okay. I can do this. I can make this work. I've always done it this way. I will do it again. I will accept the new way of doing things. I will learn how to do this. I will change. This helps you and your self esteem and your self worth. Telling yourself you can do it helps you better understand yourself and helps other people understand you as well. And another thing is don't be afraid of a new challenge, even if you can't complete it. You'll remember that you tried, and your loved ones and your support system will help you get to the goal. Graciously accept their help and their love and their understanding because it is they who are going to help you through this dementia journey. Another thing that I want you to do is to be gracious. Be gracious about being angry about the diagnoses and your situation causes those around you to act with anger, leads to conflict. And eventually, if you're so angry and you're so combative and you're not gracious, those people are going to leave. They don't want to be around you. You're a jerk. You're an idiot. We don't want to deal with this. Another thing as part of being gracious is ask for help with a smile and request that um, makes, ask for a smile and request it because that makes people smile. They want to help and work with you. Practice being a smiling individual because as your condition changes, you want your smile to be on autopilot. You want to be gracious. Always say please and thank you. And always tell people you love them. There is something, if you earnestly tell people you love them, that gets the endorphins in your brain and their brain working. There's a special connectedness. There's a special feeling of closeness. And as you go through this dementia journey, being close to people, having people understand you, having people want to be around you is going to be really, really important. And do small things of appreciation for those who help you. You don't have to buy fancy things. Give them a hug. Give them a smile. Hold their hand. Buy chocolate. Give them a chocolate bar. Give them a chocolate piece of candy. Buy flowers. Buy little things. Send them a card that says thank you. Give them a card. All those things, again, make it easier for your journey because you're thinking about how you can help. You're not focused on being angry and upset, but you're more focused on how you can accept the help that people give. Talk to family and friends as you embrace your diagnoses and your situation. Embrace your family and friends. And they're going to most likely offer support and helpfulness. Accept it. Accept it with a smile. Accept it with graciousness. Practice very, very hard about not being angry. You and I didn't ask for you to have dementia or to have to go down this journey. But if you are angry about it, it makes you an angry person and it creates conflict. And as my one son says, every action creates a reaction. If I smile, people are more likely to smile back. If I'm angry and upset, people are more likely to be angry and upset. The more time and energy that's spent on angry, being upset, conflict, the less time you have to enjoy the days and the times when you have the ability to know and feel and sense what's going on. Acknowledge that you may repeat things and ask for people's understanding as you try to process information and share your thoughts and pleasure. Participate in as many activities as you can that help you to maintain your brain health. There's lots of things out there now, lots of work that is going on that shows that even with early stage dementia, many people can have 2, 3, 4 years of fairly quality of life. Grab those, embrace them, do as many things as you can so that, again, it helps you to be a better person, to understand who you are, and to enjoy those in your circle of love. Eating healthy is also deemed to be really good to help with reducing dementia advancement. Exercising regularly. If you can exercise with family and friends, that's important too. And maintain as many family and social engagements as you can. Sometimes you might find it's easier to have them come to you. And again, if you want to have lunch with family, with friends, instead of you trying to cook, which we know is probably not going to work very well, order out, order takeout, have it delivered. DoorDash will bring it to you. Now, I know DoorDash is a little harder in some small rural communities, but even small rural communities these days are doing delivery services. They've always delivered liquor and flowers, and many small communities are now starting to deliver groceries. You can have something delivered from their deli. You can call the local restaurant. And even again in the rural areas, a lot of them are doing takeout. And so have you or invite a friend to your house, have them stop by the local restaurant, have it all prepaid for, and have them just go in and pick it up. In terms of community resources, probably the Alzheimer's Association is your best resource, but there are other resources in the community as well. And I advise you to consider taking care of them or taking advantage of them. And that brings my comments to a close today on early dementia and how to manage that. This is just a little bit about services that the Gerontological Society offers. We have a small amount of funding for dental services that will start July 1. Unfortunately, instead of being able to serve about 150 people, our funding was cut to about 20 to 25. So it'll be a very small number this coming year. We are looking into how we can partner with community agencies to maybe be able to make more dental services available, but I don't have that organized. We still have our telephone buddy program, which is something that may be very, very helpful again to have someone call and chat with you regularly. If you live in Denver County, you could qualify for mental health counseling. Please call our office. We have some openings in that program. And again, people say, if I have dementia, I can't benefit from counseling. That is a very big misnomer. Please call our office and we'll see if we can get you hooked up with a counselor for 10 or 12 sessions. We have grants for low vision aids. Our advanced care planning is one that I would really suggest that you take a look at. We have some stuff on our website, as well as a very robust set of YouTube videos, so check those out. And then most of you are familiar that we do some counseling and public benefits counseling. We have our locator on our website if you're looking for housing and home care resources, and we'll do the holiday baskets in the fall. Our salute to seniors will be August the 22nd at the Greek Event Center. If you're not able to join in person, it will be virtual for about an hour and a half on August the 23rd, and you can register for that as well. We'll be doing some Medicare education and outreach in October and November. We're always in the housing advocacy space trying to advocate for more housing, lower income housing. We do have a couple of dementia training online courses that you can take. And if you go to our website at senioranswers.org, put in dementia training, they are paid trainings, but they're not very expensive. So you could maybe take advantage of those. And although they're directed at caregivers, mostly like the public caregivers, families have said they've been very useful and helpful. And we're always doing advocacy as well. Thank you all for joining us today. And if you have any questions, I'm going to pause a moment and then I will take your questions that are in the chat. And then if anyone has any questions, I will take those as well.